Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Holowitz, and I want to talk to you about creating a group for your ACT marketing automation campaign. So, when you're using ACT, you can do a lookup of contacts. And in this example, I'm going to go up top and I'm going to go lookup, and I'm going to go down first name, and I'm going to type in the name John, which is already in there. You'll see it right there. So I'm going to click OK. So, in this lookup, we have 172 people whose first name is John. When you're using ACT Marketing Automation, something that's a little bit different is you've got to put the cart before the horse a little bit. Meaning, when you're going to send an email, first you got to create the template, but then the second part is you've got to create a campaign. But actually, what comes in between that is you need to think, okay, who do I want to send this email to? So you have to give it some thought beforehand. And then you need to put those contacts you want to send an email to into a group, because the campaign is going to send an email to a group of people. Now, a lot of you might not know what a group is. So if you've never used groups, I have other training about groups, and I highly recommend you look at that, because I love working with groups because it's a great way to keep your information organized. So in this example, I'm going to create a group out of all these contacts whose first name is John. And I want to draw your attention up here to the 172. So if I come over to the left-hand side and go down to where it says groups and click on that, here is an area where right now I have no groups. There's nothing here. I'm going to come here to groups and go new group, and I'm going to give this group a name of John. That's it. Nothing more. So now, after I've created this group, I'm going to come down to Add Remove Contacts, and I can add contacts two ways. I can add them manually and with what's called a group membership rule, and I'll show you that as well as this. So, keep in mind, I just looked up 172 contacts in ACT. Those 172 contacts are people whose first name is John. So if I click here on contacts, up here I can add all the contacts in my database to a group, or I can click on this drop down and I can say the current lookup. So at this point, I'm going to take the current lookup, all the people named John, and I'm going to click on the double arrows, and it shoots them all over here onto the other side. And if I click OK, I've created a group. But I would never do this way. And the reason for that is this. I'm going to click cancel. It's because if I add another person whose first name is John to my database, unless I manually remember to add them to that group, they're not going to be in that group. I'm going to click here on Edit Criteria, and I'm going to create a rule. I'm going to say, listen, I'm going to say if the first name, and I'm going to start typing the word first, and you'll see it showed up. If the first name is equal to John, I want you to automatically add them to the John group. So I'm going to click on Add to List, and I'm going to click on Preview. Now, before I click Preview, I want to point out something to you. When I did the lookup, there were 172 people in this database whose name was John. And again, I did the lookup, and there were 172. But when I created this group, there's only 157. Now, the reason for that is this. When I did this criteria, I said it's equal to the name of John. So if there are people in the database whose name is Johnny, that would not pull it in. What I could have done is I could have said it begins with John, and then that way if someone's name was Johnny, it would have pulled them in as well. But that's okay. For now, I'm just trying to show you how to create a group. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to click OK again. So now I have the John group, and the way I did it is if I add anyone else whose first name is John, what's going to happen is they're automatically going to get into this group. So the reason I'm showing you this in this part of the training is because you're going to be asked for sending an email. Again, we talked about creating a template. Now you got to send that template to people in your database. But the way ACT is going to look for those people is by looking for a group. And now I can refer to the John group right there. So you can have all kinds of different groups. I have other training in other sections of this database, primarily in the Selling with ACT area, where I'm going to do a lot of training on groups. So this is just a simple example for the purpose of showing you how to work with this when sending an ACT marketing automation email. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. You have a great day. Bye now.